What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Jump. A quick midweek episode to kind of get us looking towards next week games and talk about the AP poll that just dropped. So this will be a rare Tuesday dropping of the AP poll, so I'll be talking about this to come out Wednesday morning. But because of the Monday night Bill Belichick TCU game, it's a Tuesday release of the schedule. So this is like almost an instant reaction. I haven't looked at it much, but there were a few takeaways off rip. So the new one, Ohio State jumps from 3-1. They jumped Penn State. A lot of Penn State fans are upset about that. I think that's very valid. If you had Penn State as the number one team in the country going into the season, then I can understand you just keeping them at 1 and not moving them. But obviously they can't leave Texas there because Ohio State just beat them. I think it's a very deserving ranking. Arguably the best defense in the country, and I think we'll see that all year. And then this offense left a lot to be desired, but there's a ton out there for them to show. So the Buckeyes are ranked number 1. Penn State's still number 2. LSU jumps from 9 to 3, which was a massive leap, but winning on the road at, which now I guess they're valid in saying the Junior Death Valley. Winning on the road at Clemson is not easy at all. So, the stat from ESPN that they'd put out was LSU won a season opener against a ranked team in the top 5 of ranked teams for just the second time in history. The first one was against number 3 Oregon in 2011. So they broke the curse where they hadn't been able to win a first week game. They had lost to some bad teams the last few years. They had chaos happen in those Florida State games, but here they are. They win their first game, and it's the biggest one. Probably the second biggest win in the Brian Kelly era of LSU football. So massive win, gets them jumped up to 3. Georgia goes from 5 to 4. Miami goes from 10 to 5. Very valid with that one. Miami's just much better than I thought. So they jumped Oregon, who went from 7 to 6. All of these teams slide up a little bit because Texas falls from 1 to 7. So that's the one that really stands out off rip because you're like, all right, where's Texas going to end up being? I think that's a big drop. That is a massive, massive drop. They were, I guess it wasn't necessarily rewarded. Like they didn't deserve to be 1 because of what they have offensively, but the defense is going to be incredible all year. They lose a 14-7 game at the shoe. Dropping 6 spots is tough to see, but I guess with what these other teams were able to do this week, maybe you have to. They're still ahead of the Clemson Tigers, who went from 4 to 8. They lose that home game. Clemson has scored 10 or fewer points in 4 of its past 5 season openers. It's brutal. So Clemson, they'll be fine, but obviously the ACC is up for grabs at this point. We've seen Clemson come back down to earth from what the offseason predictions were of the Tigers, but now Miami enters the conversation. SMU is going to be good. Louisville's going to be good. There's going to be a lot of good teams in this conference this year. Georgia Tech, the list will go on. Florida State's going to be very good, who I'll mention here in a minute. Notre Dame falls from 6 to 9. I think that's pretty good. I think that's about where they'll be all year. Obviously, it's an overreaction from game 1, but I do think they'll probably be in that area all year. I think this is a probably 8 to 15 team. They have a bye week and then a tough one, September 13th, Texas A&M. They get them at home this year. South Carolina goes from 13 to 10. I think this is all just a little bit of movement that just was necessary with the wins and losses. The rest doesn't matter a whole lot until you get to Florida State, who moved from unranked to 14. They just dominated Alabama, and they became the first team since the AP preseason poll began to win its season opener versus a AP Top 10 opponent following a 10-loss season. So obviously a very, very specific stat, but just the vibes at Florida State are second to none right now. It's incredible to see. Florida State is back. Massive win over Alabama, and all the Alabama memes and everything are tough to see, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes for Kalen DeBoer and his Crimson Tide. Iowa State goes from 22 to 16, starting out 2-0. Looked good against Kansas State, obviously, which Kansas State, they are a whole nother thing because they played terrible in week 1. But then they beat South Dakota, referring to Iowa State. Iowa State beats South Dakota 55-7. Just a incredible performance for Rocco Becht. I talked about that on the like Saturday night recap type thing that I did the other day. And Rocco Becht is just going to be one of those dudes all year. The Oklahoma Sooners stay 18, but I thought they looked great. Yeah, John Mateer's 392 passing yards were the most by a player making his debut in OU history. So that's why I have him on my Heisman list that I'll be talking about here in a little bit. Other than that, the big drops are Alabama Crimson Tide falling from 8 to 21. I figured they would put Florida State above Alabama because they should be after that. I did not know it was going to be this much. 7 spots between those two. Yeah, it was crazy to see. Utah Utes go from unranked to 25. They have won 3 straight season openers now, but this is a Utah team that I don't think is like the last few because of a man named Devin Dampier, who's also in my top 25 or my top 10 Heisman list. That dude is absolutely special, and they win 43 to 10. And I mean, for Tennessee fans to see Nico play like that had to be special. So Nico played terrible. Utah looked incredible, and I think that's going to be the team to watch in the Big 12 this year. The only team above them in the the only 3 teams above them in the Big 12 is Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Arizona State. So those are really the teams to watch. That conference is very open, though, because, I mean, TCU looked absolutely incredible against Bill Belichick. So that's it for the top 25 rankings. Obviously, I'm not going to mention every team because most teams ended up staying around where they already were. But yeah, here in a couple weeks, we get more ranked matchups. We have a really exciting matchup this week where game day is headed. So I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But for right now, I'm going to do my Heisman Top 10 following week 1. I don't have necessarily honorable mentions, but there are a few that I was trying to figure out a way to get them on there, but I just didn't for this week, but they'll probably be on there throughout the season. Josh Hoover, Tommy Castellanos, Drew Allar, Sam Levitt, DJ Lagway was one of them. I think Isaac Brown could probably make his way on the list. So there's a lot of really good names that were left off, unfortunately. But for me, this is my top 10. So we'll start with 10. I'll try to throw this on the screen as well. 10, Maverick McIver, leading the country through 2 games so far in passing yards, over 700 passing yards for the WKU quarterback. He is absolutely special. He's not going to do Bailey Zappi numbers. They've also played really bad teams. They have a tough matchup with Toledo next, but he has balled out so far. I had to show him some love. He's led this WKU team to 2 comfortable victories. I think it was 41-24 for Sam Houston State, and then when they played North Alabama, this was like 55-6. It was just absolute belt. Maverick McIver, number 10. Number 9, Arch Manning. Now this one and one other up here in a little bit are a little bit of projection, where I think this dude is still going to end up being very, very good. Now, it's tough to put out a list with the top 10 after what Arch did last week, so that was tough to see, and I know a lot of people disagreed with that. They're like, get Arch Manning off this list, all that. I think it's more of a projection pick. Like I said, he'll end up being very, very good. So I still kept him 9. I don't feel like I need to take him off the list just yet. 8, Carson Beck of Miami. He played really, really good. Pulled on the heartstrings a little bit in that post game. Talking about, what he's had to go through. The last year has been really rough for him. Now, social media had a heyday with that where they said, oh, man, I'm sure it has been tough when you got one of your 3 Ferraris stolen and had to date a Cavender twin. But outside of that, you can understand what he's referring to, where all of Georgia basically wrote this guy off, and he was getting so much hate. Some of it was self-inflicted, but there was a lot of hate that wasn't self-inflicted that he was getting last year. So seeing him ball out at Miami week 1, I thought he definitely deserved to be in the top 10. Jackson Arnold, obviously I'm going to need to see some passing from this man. He ran all over Baylor. Jackson Arnold looked really good. The former 5-star looked the part in week 1, but we'll see what he can do going forward. Just mentioned his name, John Mateer. Just set the program record for debut passing yards. This kid's special. Bringing over his OC, Ben Arbuckle, definitely helped. There's really a committee of running backs around him that's going to help a lot. And he's just an absolute gamer, playmaker, so he's going to be fun to watch all year at Oklahoma. He's 6th. Now to the top 5. Cade Klubnik. This one's a little projection. I think he still played pretty well. Pass rush was crazy. Harold Perkins was in his grill the whole time. The DBs were incredible for LSU. DBU might be back for LSU. But I think Cade Klubnik is going to be very, very good all year, and he's going to put up numbers. And now you can say it's against the weak ACC, but you could also say that about Cam Ward. Cam Ward was just good. It doesn't matter if it's against the weak ACC or whatever. Cade Klubnik is going to be really good this year. He's 5th. 4, Lenore Sellers. Heisman is what people are already calling him in South Carolina. Dude is special. Absolute unit. He gives you like the Cam Newton vibes where like it doesn't make sense how this guy is able to play quarterback, where he's just breaking tackles left and right, just doing all this stuff. And so he'll be there all year, playing really, really good competition all year too. So he'll put up numbers, running, passing, all the good stuff. Lenore Sellers at 4. Now the top 3, Devin Dampier, Utah. This is who I was referring to. I don't remember what his actual numbers ended up being, but he absolutely balled out against UCLA. He ended up with 21 of 25, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, with 16 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. No turnovers. Dude was an absolute baller all night, and I'm excited to see what he can do for Utah this year. Number 2, Jeremiah Smith. This is the other one that I was referring to as like more of a projection thing. Obviously he didn't play very good. He had 2 or 3 drops in the Texas game and only like 40 yards, but that's a Texas defense that I've said before the season. Now, after this game, that defense is insane. So, obviously, you can't expect a guy to do a ton against them. He's still the best receiver in the game. He's still going to have a great year, and I have no problem putting him at 2. Number 1, Garrett Nussmeier. He absolutely played lights out. He went into Death Valley Junior for LSU fans and played just beautiful. 28 of 38, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Now, he also got 1 touchdown called back, and he really just controlled the game. And this is a guy that we already know he's going to put up great numbers all season. Great receiving core around him. He's got tons of weapons, so I have no problem putting Garrett Nussmeier up at 1. He had the best win of the week. Obviously, it's tough to say with Ohio State, but just winning at that Clemson, winning there is just crazy to me. So Ohio State had the good win against Texas, but I think Garrett Nussmeier led his team to the best win of the week, and that's why I have him 1 on my Heisman list. Now, moving on to some games to look forward to. Now, I don't have too many because I don't want to just bore you guys just reading off games, but there are a few to get excited for. So I'll start out with the Cy-Hawk. I'll go in chronological order with these. I'll start out with the Cy-Hawk. This is a Fox game, number 16, Iowa State versus Iowa. Iowa struggled a little bit early against Albany. They figured it out, and I'm very high on this Iowa team. I think Kirk Ferentz is going to get these guys rolling. Gronowski is going to be awesome all year. And this, obviously, we know what we're going to get out of Iowa defensively. And I think it's going to be an awesome game. I think Iowa State will probably end up winning this one, winning the Cy-Hawk this year. I'll end up putting a prediction out for this game probably on Friday. But that game is going to be super, super special. So there's that one. Then we have Baylor at SMU. So 2 of the better teams in the Big 12 all year, where we're trying to see if SMU is going to fall off from their playoff high last year and see if Baylor can bounce back from the Auburn game. That one's also a noon game. Illinois at Duke. We'll get to see who's legit, who's not. Duke, in my opinion, is a legitimate ACC threat to win that conference, and Illinois is the 11th ranked team in the country. So there's not a whole lot of overlooking the Fighting Illini, in my opinion. 3:30, we have an old rivalry back. Kansas versus Missouri. This is going to be a fun game. Missouri looked incredible in their first game. Sadly, because of what's his face getting hurt, Bo Pribula is their QB1. They were going to play both QBs in their first game. Bo Pribula is the guy now, and he balled out. So he'll get to take his talents against a very good Kansas team. Both these teams just outside the top 25. I think both these teams are going to have really good years, and this game's going to kind of set the tone for these guys. A game that I don't really know why it's happening. Oklahoma State and Oregon are playing. This will just be a fun game for the most part, but obviously Oklahoma State's quarterback got hurt, so that throws a little wrench in it a little bit. Oregon's going to roll, but it's going to be interesting. USF was kind of the story of week 1 when they had the Thursday victory versus Boise, where it was dominant. Now they play Florida at 4:15. That'll be a blast of a game, and we'll get to see kind of just what USF really is. Like they'll get to play other good teams all year, but as of right now, they're one of the teams to watch out for the college football playoff out of that G5. Arizona State at Mississippi State. Now, this was a close game last year. Arizona State's number 12 in the country, and it would not necessarily shock me if Mississippi State beat them. That's crazy if you would just watch like the first half of Mississippi State's game versus Southern Miss. But they ended up getting it going a little bit, getting in the flow of things, and rolling a little bit. So Mississippi State, I think, is going to keep that game close. That's a 7:30 game. Another 7:30 game. This game was played last year at Vandy, and Vandy won it. Now they're traveling to Virginia Tech this year. Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. Vandy looked good week 1 against the School of the Blind. I can't remember who they played. And then Virginia Tech, they looked good for the most part defensively, other than the one special teams play and then the one blown coverage. But Virginia Tech is going to be solid. Vandy's going to be solid. This game's going to be a blast. It's 7:30, ACC Network. That one's going to be a fun one. So then lastly, where game day's headed, Norman, Oklahoma, Michigan, the 15th ranked team in the land versus the 18th ranked team in the land. Michigan at Oklahoma, two of the most storied programs of all time. Two new guys being the signal callers at these programs. Bryce Underwood, true freshman. He looked very good in his debut, but now he'll have to go up against a much, much, much better team. John Mateer, transferring from Washington State, comes over, balls right away. Justice Haynes from Michigan had one of the best games of the start of the season. Had one of the best games of running backs. It was like him, Jonah Coleman, a few other guys. Justice Haynes was legit week 1. We'll get to see. This is a Brent Venables defense. Now that he's calling the defense and everything, we'll get to see what this game ends up being like. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I know John Mateer has the ability to run up a score a little bit, but I think that Michigan defense is going to be pretty solid, even though Michigan did give up like 17 to New Mexico, I think it was. I think it's going to be somewhat low scoring. I don't know. I just don't see it being a shootout by any means. But I think I'm going to lean Oklahoma in this one because of it being at Gaylord Memorial Stadium. So I think I'll lean the Sooners on this one. But Michigan at Oklahoma, these are the early season matchups that we need. These are awesome. Now, Michigan's trying to get off that vibe of where they lost to Texas, lost to an early SEC team last year. They get to travel to Norman and play Oklahoma and see what they can do. So these are two coaches in completely different scenarios, where Brent Venables, where part of the fan base isn't necessarily fond of what he's done so far. One good year. He's got to get this thing rolling. He's calling the defense for the first year since he's been at Oklahoma. As for Michigan, they're really just still on the championship high, still coming down from that, where Sharon Moore, if he ends up flopping and having a terrible year, then obviously he's very, very much hot seat, maybe even fired. But he's pretty comfortable right now. These are two coaches in different spots. I think Oklahoma needs this victory as they get ready to roll into the SEC schedule, because it's not easy for them this year. Certainly not. They flipped what they had last year. They have very, very tough games. They'll travel to Neyland. They'll play at Bama. They'll play... I can't remember their full schedule off the top of my head, but they have a very tough schedule. So this is going to be an awesome game. 7:30, ABC, Kirk and Chris calling the game. It's going to be absolute cinema. And it'll be sad because it's the first game day where we won't have Lee Corso, but man, he went out in the best way possible. So still have it right here. Not so fast, my friend. We'll always miss Lee. What an incredible week. He had every single... If you would have bet all his picks, it was like a crazy payout. Somebody did just his game day picks or something and put $10 down to make like over 1,000. It was incredible. So it was cool to see Lee go out that way. It was much deserved. What a career for him. But here we go. Week 2. We're in the thick of it. We're getting rolling. Come join me every single week. I'm going to try to upload every Wednesday, and then I'll do reactionary podcasts when it calls for it. So I'll jump on here as much as possible. Love talking college football. College football, college basketball, those are my two right there. So if you like either of those, come for the ride and just stick with me all year. College football is going to be electric. So if you enjoy it, subscribe, like, all the good stuff. Follow if you're listening on podcasts. It's all greatly appreciated. If you made it this far in the video, I'm very, very thankful for you. You listen to me yap about a sport that I love for that long. So thank you. Have a great week. Enjoy week 2. Till next time. See you. Peace.